They're massive, menacing, and they define galactic power. In Star Wars, Star Destroyers aren't just ships, they're symbols of fear, dominance, and raw firepower. Today, we're ranking 20 of the biggest Star Destroyers in both canon and legends. From the smallest dagger-shaped threats to the galaxy's most terrifying flagships. You've probably seen some on screen, but trust me, a few of these will blow your mind. Let's get into it. Kicking off at rank 20 is the Interdictor-class Star Destroyer, a tactical specialist designed to pull ships out of hyperspace using gravity well generators. It didn't just fight you, it trapped you. This was the Empire's answer to Rebel hit-and-run tactics, turning escape into a fantasy. At 19 is the Pelion-class Star Destroyer. Named after Grand Admiral Gilead Pelion, this post-Empire flagship combined classical design with next-gen firepower. It carried state-of-the-art weapons, control systems, and served as a mobile command hub in the era after Palpatine's fall. Coming in at rank 18 is the Rejuvenator class, another 1600-meter monster designed for the New Republic and later the Galactic Federation of Free Alliances. It wasn't just an upgrade, it was a full-on rejuvenation of the Star Destroyer concept, made to keep up with threats like the Yuuzhan Vong. Rank 17 belongs to the Imperius-class Star Destroyer. Also known as the Advanced Star Destroyer, it kept the classic length, but with massive rear thrusters and a tail fin reminiscent of the Clone Wars era designs. This ship was fast, furious, and meant to dominate the battlefield during the Second Imperial Civil War. And finally, at number 16, we have the Secular class, the first one to crack the 2-kilometer threshold. It was more of a carrier than a bruiser, designed to house massive amounts of starfighters and lead coordinated fleet actions. But don't let that fool you, this thing could still blast a hole through enemy lines when managing an entire armada from its bridge. Rank 15 brings the Zeiton-class Star Destroyer. First seen in The Rise of Skywalker, clocking in at 2,406 meters, this beast was essentially an Imperial II on steroids and then some. Built by the Final Order deep within the hidden shipyards of Exegol, each Zeiton-class vessel came equipped with its own planet-killing super laser. Yeah, you heard that right. One Star Destroyer, one planet. Multiply that by hundreds, and you've got a fleet that could erase the galaxy as we know it. Sleek, black, and bristling with weaponry, the Zeiton was the Empire's final nightmare fuel. Rank 14 goes to the Resurgent-class Star Destroyer, the flagship warship of the First Order. At nearly 3,000 meters long, this ship dwarfed its Imperial predecessors. It featured upgraded deflector shields, heavier armor, more TIE fighters, and stronger turbo laser batteries. Think of it as the Imperial Star Destroyer 2.0. Modernized, bulkier, meaner. The Finalizer, Kylo Ren's personal ship, was one of these, and it screamed dominance wherever it went. Rank 13 is the Gemini-class Twin Star Destroyer, one of the wildest concepts in the Star Wars multiverse. Pulled from Star Wars visions, this 3-kilometer marvel looked like two Star Destroyers fused together at the spine, with a hypercannon running down its middle. Its destructive force was powerful enough to crack planets, and visually, it's one of the most intimidating designs in all of Star Wars animation. It's not canon, but it's impossible to ignore. At rank 12, we've got the Bellator-class Dreadnought, a legendary Imperial warship from Legends designed to bridge the gap between Star Destroyer and full-scale Dreadnought. It was smaller than most Super Star Destroyers, measuring around 7.2 kilometers, but what it lacked in length, it made up for in sheer mobility and firepower. This thing could go toe-to-toe with larger ships thanks to its advanced engines and dense weapons network. It earned the nickname Fast Dreadnought for good reason, blending overwhelming force with unmatched speed. Rank 11 belongs to the Mandator 4-class Siege Dreadnought, a massive warship from The Last Jedi. While not the longest of its line, it still stretched over 7.6 kilometers and packed 2 orbital autocannons capable of bombarding fortified planetary positions. This ship was all about brute force, hurling heavy artillery from orbit with chilling precision. It wasn't built for dogfights, it was built to end sieges in minutes. Cracking the top 10 at rank 10 is the Mandator 1 and 2 class dreadnoughts, ancient warships dating back to the Clone Wars era. Measuring between 4.8 to 5 kilometers, these were among the first to carry the Dreadnought designation. They laid the foundation for future behemoths like the Belator and Eclipse, and though slower and less sleek, their raw power and historical importance earned them a top-tier spot. They were the old titans, the prehistoric giants of galactic warfare. At rank 9, we have the Mandator 3 class, a 12-kilometer-long monster that put all its ancestors to shame. It was essentially a weaponized wall, bristling with heavy guns, thick armor, and planetary-scale shielding. Built for planetary sieges and long-range combat, the Mandator 3 was one of the few tips that could theoretically go toe-to-toe with the Death Star in pure destructive potential, minus the moon-sized profile. And at rank 8, standing at 15 kilometers, we have the Sovereign-class Super Star Destroyer. Originally intended to be Emperor Palpatine's personal command vessel, the Sovereign-class was the terrifying crown jewel of Imperial engineering. Armed with a miniaturized super laser and protected by the best armor the Empire could forge, this dreadnought was meant to bring swift, total control to the galaxy. Only one was ever completed before the project was scrapped, but its myth lives on. Rank 7 goes to the Assertor-class Star Dreadnought. At a staggering 15 kilometers long, this ship was built to follow the Sovereign class but cranked everything up a notch. With enhanced propulsion systems, denser hull plating, and next-gen turbo lasers, the Assertor was designed to overwhelm even the most advanced fleets. It served as a symbol of absolute dominance, meant to appear at the edge of a battle and immediately tilt the scales. In the Legends timeline, the Assertor wasn't just a warship, it was a rolling apocalypse. Rank 6 belongs to the Eclipse-class Star Dreadnought. Measuring 17.5 kilometers, the Eclipse was the heaviest warship ever created by the Galactic Empire. Built as Emperor Palpatine's personal flagship in the Legends continuity, the Eclipse was more than just size. It was an aesthetic nightmare in the best way. Black hull, angular dagger shape, and a super laser capable of splitting a planet in half. It even carried a cloaking device. Just imagine the Death Star's destructive potential, but flying. The Eclipse was fear incarnate, and it could tear through an entire fleet without ever calling for backup. Rank 5, the infamous Executor-class Star Dreadnought. This one needs no introduction. At 19 kilometers long, this was Darth Vader's personal flagship, the Executor. Propelled by 13 massive engines, equipped with over 5,000 weapons, and a hangar that could hold thousands of TIE fighters, the Executor wasn't just a command ship, it was a flying empire. It made its terrifying debut in The Empire Strikes Back, and later met its iconic fate in Return of the Jedi when it crashed into the Death Star after a kamikaze A-Wing pilot took out the bridge. Even in destruction, it was legendary. Rank 4 goes to the Vengeance-class Star Dreadnought, another 19-kilometer colossus, this time with a more experimental design. Long, sleek, and featuring wing-like extensions at the aft, this ship looked like something that belonged in the Sith's twisted dream. It had all the power of the Executor, but focused more on intimidation and speed, with an elongated silhouette that cut through space like a knife. It served as a Sith Inquisitor flagship in several Legends materials, and showed us how style and menace could mix with firepower. Rank 3, the Mega-class Star Dreadnought, known simply as the Supremacy. This ship was Supreme Leader Snoke's flying fortress in the sequel trilogy. Measuring 13 kilometers long and an insane 60 kilometers wide, the Supremacy was essentially a mobile capital city. It houses factories, barracks, research labs, and hangars that could launch Resurgent-class destroyers like shuttles. With its brutal, slab-like design and ability to function without planetary support, it embodied the First Order's doctrine of fear and control. It was destroyed in The Last Jedi, but not before proving just how terrifying it was. Rank 2 is the rarely discussed but mind-bending Eternal-class Dreadnought. Pulled from Star Wars: The Old Republic, these ships were the crown jewels of the Eternal Empire, spanning over 30 kilometers long. That's Death Star levels of scale. Each Eternal-class ship was crewed by elite droids, controlled via AI, and packed with experimental technology like gravity disruptors and shield-breaking cannons. They weren't just warships, they were spacefaring gods capable of taking on entire fleets single-handedly. Though not widely known outside the MMORPG, their presence in Star Wars lore is unmatched in pure, terrifying scale. And finally, rank number 1, the ultimate, the undisputed heavyweight, the Galaxy Gun. Wait, that's not the Death Star, not Starkiller Base. We're talking about a planet-sized cannon mounted on a mobile platform capable of firing planet-destroying warheads across the galaxy via hyperspace. It appeared in Dark Empire 2 and stood as the Empire's final trump card after the fall of the Death Star. Its warheads could bypass planetary shields and unleash black hole-level destruction. It was in-universe confirmation that the Empire didn't just want control, they wanted the ability to erase anything, anywhere, instantly. While its mobility was limited compared to others, its reach was galactic, and in terms of power, it outclassed every other dreadnought by a long shot. So, there you have it, 33 of the largest Star Destroyers ever imagined in Star Wars. From the humble Gladiator class to galaxy-reshaping titans like the Galaxy Gun and the Supremacy. These ships weren't just massive, they were stories carved in steel, purpose-built to project power, fear, and control across the stars. Some were fast and efficient, others were floating fortresses, but all of them proved one thing. In Star Wars, bigger often means badder, and in the vast silence of space, nothing says you're not winning this war louder than a 19-kilometer dreadnought arriving in orbit. If you liked this video, you can now check out this other cool video about the complete Star Wars canon timeline explained and updated. Click on the video that appears on your screen to see it. Click on it.